How's everyone doing? Welcome to Drinking with Dana, our second season big premiere episode. Except it's not going to really be that big, and it's barely an episode. But thank you all for joining me. Winter Vespers and Morning Wind, thank you so much. I had forgotten to turn on the microphone. Can you hear me now? Everything look okay? Sound okay? Okay, good. And also, how do you like the new music? I figured for season 2 we'd switch it up a little bit. Do one of their new songs. Okay. So there's going to be a lot more talking about stuff, including, what's been going on with me recently, some talk about the surgery I just had, talk about what's going on with the show, all the shows really, and all that. But first, I think I need a drink. So, not need a drink, want a drink. Should have a drink to be talking about this. And the one I'm going to do today is one I've been wanting to do for a while. Oh, yes. Here, let me switch so you can see it a little bit better. Morning Wind says that she loves my fairy shirt. It's actually Tinkerbell hunting after a successful hunt. And I do love it too. These are sequins over here, and this is all velvety. And I got it down at Disneyland on one of my trips. I absolutely adore it. I don't wear it that often so that I don't wear it out. So the drink we're doing today is a Caipirinha, and I'm going to butcher all the words here. I am very sorry, but it's one I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's, to put it simply, it's a sort of South American daiquiri, specifically kind of a Brazilian daiquiri. This is one of those full page of notes drinks. So although the origin of the drink is unknown, there's generally a consensus in the academic community that the Caipirinha was invented in the interior of Sao Paulo, Brazil in 1918. Some say it might have been created in Portugal, because there's another popular recipe that's very similar, although it's made with lemon, garlic, and honey, and basically it was created as a tonic for folks with the Spanish flu back then. The original form of, a Caipirinha is basically meant to be a sort of a curative tonic for people with the flu or a cold. Still used that way today, apparently. I as much as I like to pretend that these are healthy, I wouldn't recommend it. Although we will someday get Lori out here to tell about her grandfather's cough syrup. Anyway, so it was originally made with a alcohol, one of the other origin stories for this drink is that it was based on poncha, which is an alcoholic drink from Madeira, Portugal. But most people think it was actually made in Brazil. So, like I say, it's a daiquiri made with something called, and again, I'm going to butcher this word, cachaça, which knocks over that. And it's basically a Brazilian rum or South American rum. And it's, this is a light rum. You could use that, you could use light rum to make this, but then you'd simply be making a daiquiri, with some minor changes. And then rum agricole is probably a little closer. But this is my first time actually making this. It's a brand new bottle of this stuff. So we're going to, try it out. You'll get my reaction having first made it. They made it for the first time. According to Brazilian law, as you can see from the recipe up there, it has lime in it. And according to the Brazilian law and also the International Bartenders Association, a Caipirinha must be made with lime. If you make it with any other fruit, you have to append the name of the fruit first. So, like a strawberry Caipirinha, or a pineapple Caipirinha, sort of like you do with daiquiris, actually. But there's also a version of it that's called a Caipifruta, which is basically you substitute the lime for either another fruit or a mix of fruits, which makes it almost like the daiquiri. Well, I don't want to say. I keep using daiquiri, which is just the context I have for it. But it's basically a cocktail version of a sangria almost. Um, and I do have some fruit in there. So if this gets drunk real fast, we might do another one. Do a Caipifruta at the end. There are a lot of variations on this with other alcohols. I didn't bother to list them all. Wikipedia has a list of them somewhere. Let's see. Oh, and the name translates to basically someone from the rural area. Basically, I think Greg on How to Drink translated it as redneck or hillbilly, but I think that's a little ruder than intended. But it is a word that there are two gendered versions of it, and the feminine one refers usually to the cocktail. So let's actually make this thing, because I've been wanting to. I actually have had this bottle for about 5 months now, and I have not yet gotten into it. So, as I said, it's a little bit like a daiquiri, but in many ways it's a bit rougher. So, for example, instead of using simple syrup, you use actual granulated sugar. You're supposed to use super fine sugar, which I don't have, but I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. And also with the lime, instead of using lime juice, you cut the lime into wedges and then muddle it. And there are a lot of different recipes. The recipe I'm using is the International Bartender's Guide one, which I will fully admit they don't always have the best recipes for drinks. But everyone had slightly different recipes, so I figured I'd try this one, see how it goes. So I'm going to cut my lime into wedges, and normally we have very big limes up here that have a ton of juice. My friend Matt, who is famous for making very good margaritas, was just shocked when he saw the size of the limes we get up here. Normally he gets like maybe an ounce of juice out of each lime, and we got, almost 3 out of one of the ones we have. So I found the smallest lime I could without it being a key lime, which is an entirely different animal. Entirely different fruit. And figured I'd go from there. So, got all the wedges of lime here. And I am going to use 4 teaspoons of sugar. Now, this again is a point where a lot of recipes diverge. Some say more or less lime. Basically one lime cut into wedges is pretty standard. A lot of recipes I saw were 2 teaspoons of sugar or even 1 teaspoon of sugar, especially for the Caipifruta. It was 1 teaspoon of sugar. I'm going to go with 4 teaspoons just because, again, this is a lot of lime, and I do like my drinks a little bit sweeter. So, I'll go with 4 this time. Also, it's not all going to dissolve. The reason why you use super fine sugar in this is to basically have more surface area for the amount of sugar you want. And if you want super fine sugar, you can either buy it or just run it in a food processor, your regular sugar in a food processor for a while, and that will grind it up. I figured since we're using 4 teaspoons of sugar, it's not all going to dissolve. There's going to be plenty of surface area for as much sugar to dissolve as possible. So we'll see how it goes. It may be that I want to do a little bit less in the future. Now, 4 teaspoons is a tablespoon and a teaspoon, so I'm just going to do it that way to make things easier. And So that was the tablespoon. This is the teaspoon. And now we are going to muddle all this. And I've seen, again, recipes say, muddle the bejeebus out of it. And others say muddle gently because you don't want... they don't even say why. They say muddle gently. And I think you probably want to muddle this pretty well to get all of the oils out of... first to get all the juice out of the limes, but also to get all of the oils out of the rind, which is going to be one other big benefit to this over the over a daiquiri, is that you're going to get a lot more of that lime oil out of the skins. So that's going to give it a different flavor than just using the juice. Let's see. Oh, thank you to our anonymous benefactor. And hello, Ogre. Good to see you. Let's see. You had said something and I missed it there. Ogre says that be careful grinding sugar, like running it in your Cuisinart, because the dust is bad for cheap grinders. Ask him how he knows. So yes, that is very good advice. Thank you. And it's good to see you again. And again, thank you to our anonymous benefactor who gifted Ogre with a subscription. Always appreciated, never required, but always appreciated. All right, so I think that's pretty good for right now. And now I'm going to crack this bottle open and realize that I did not finish washing my measurer here. All right. Sorry, I'm normally more prepared than this, but it's been a good solid couple of weeks. So, all right. 2 ounces. And let's see. Ooh, that pour is not very good. It's barely letting anything out. I'm wondering if this is a secondary cap or if it's some alcohols have a something to keep you from pouring it too fast, but this is not letting anything out. So I'm wondering. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so that's 1. And come on. There we go. It looks like I just have to keep it so that air can get in easily. All right, that's 2. And it smells lovely. Do that. All right, and if you'll excuse me a second, I'm going to get some ice in here, and I'll be right back. I'm going to put some ice in the glass here, too, as I start shaking this. Just a bit. All right. And one thing I want to say about the cachaça, or cachaça, I apologize for butchering that word, is this 1 liter bottle of it was about $18 before tax. And it seemed like it came in sort of two qualities. You got the liter for like right around $20, maybe a little bit less, or you got a 750 ml for around $40 before tax. And I didn't want to invest in something that was really nice. There was also some that were like you get a liter for about $10, even though it's imported and all of that. So I kind of went for middle of the road. If this ends up being one of my new favorite drinks, I'll probably invest in something a little nicer. So this is what it looks like. Looks very daiquiri-like. Lots of nice green from the lime. Let's see if we can see. Don't see a lot on the bottom, but it's still pretty cloudy. So cheers, everyone. Welcome to season 2. That is very nice. Lot going on, so let me walk through it. So you do get a sort of alcohol and lime hit right up front, but the alcohol fades fairly quickly into a sweet lime, but you definitely get more of that lime oil flavor than you do in a daiquiri. And also the alcohol itself is smooth. That, like I say, you can definitely tell that this is in there, but it's not like, that it doesn't overwhelm you. It's not rough. It's not a bad thing, the way that sometimes when you get a big hit of alcohol, it can be a little bad. It's nice and smooth, just works really well with that lime and lime oil. Definitely not too sweet in my book. It is just about right. Here. Yeah, there is. I'd say that's just about perfect in terms of sweetness. Now, I won't know until I get to the bottom how much of the sugar is actually dissolved there. But I think that is a good recipe for this. Now, if I had something that was, served to me in Brazil that was different, I would know better. But for right now, this tastes really nice. I'm very happy with this drink. Like I say, nice, smooth flavors, good lime flavor to it. I really appreciate muddling that, the lime rind in there. Now I've heard, like, Greg on How to Drink talks about how it's more, less refined than a daiquiri. It's supposed to be a little rougher. That's why they use sugar instead of simple syrup. So you get a little bit of the grit in there. I'm not getting any of that. This is smooth and refined and perfect as far as I can tell. Now, again, when I get to the bottom, that may change. But for right now, this tastes just fantastic. So that is the drink portion of the evening. I'm just going to, here, I'll go ahead and put it back to camera only and talk a little bit about what's been going on and what's going to go on and why we're only doing one recipe tonight. Although this is going faster than perhaps it should, so maybe we'll get something else. So, as I mentioned on here, and I was a little bit cagey about it before, but I actually had surgery about 2 weeks ago, actually almost exactly 2 weeks ago. And I don't think I really said what the surgery was, but basically what I had was a fat grafting procedure. The reason I'm talking about it more now is because I realized one of the main ideas behind this show is that, was originally to show trans people just being people. I'm here cooking and making drinks and all that, and I'm trans doing it, but that's not really, and I'll talk about trans stuff, but it's not really, the whole reason of the show. Well, part of that, I think, is being transparent about what kind of stuff trans folks do to transition. And so I was like, also this information could be useful to folks because it's a procedure not a lot of folks know about. So I thought I would talk about it a little bit. The gist of it is that they take the fat from your midsection or wherever you want, really, but they use liposuction to get the fat out. And they take it and they purify it, and then they put it back where you want it. In my case, that's in my breasts and my hips. Now, you can't really see much of a difference at this point for a few reasons. One is for like the first week, you have to wear this girdle like thing. It's called a faja. And it's sort of like a wrestler singlet in that it goes from my shoulders down to mid thigh. And you have to wear that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when you, for the first week, basically until your first post-op appointment. After that, you can start taking it off like an hour a day, for the next 2 weeks. And then you have to wear it like, I can't remember if it's 12 hours or 8 hours a day after that. So basically while you sleep. So I'm strapped down pretty tight under all this. And the only reason you can't see it is because it's black and my shirt's black. But hopefully, the other reason is that there's a lot of swelling because there's a lot of trauma to your body. And it takes a month or two for all that swelling to go down. Now, I can already see some results, and I'm very happy with them. But, I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And because I think before I was saying sort of like, I'll look entirely different when I get back. Now I look pretty much the same. And it's not going to be that, well, hopefully it'll be that huge of a change, but you won't really see it for a couple months. And apparently things aren't entirely locked in until 6 months out. So, I just, that's the surgery I did. And the question is, why did I do it that way? Why didn't I just get implants or maybe implants and some liposuction or something like that? Well, a few reasons. The first is that basically, let's see. The first person who was in charge of my transition, my first endocrinologist, kind of screwed some things up. I don't want to say it that way, but suffice to say, they thought it was a fine idea for me to be without either testosterone or estrogen for 6 months, which caused me to put on a lot of weight. And because of the anti-androgen I was on, it all kind of went to my midsection. Instead of, say, to my breasts and hips, where it normally would have gone. So this was kind of correcting that. I could have done other procedures. I personally did not want implants. It's fine if that's the path you're taking. That's great. I'm so happy for you. It just wasn't something that I wanted. Maybe I read a little too much Twitter a little too long and, saw all the people saying, all the transphobes saying, oh, they're not real breasts or they're not, I don't know, whatever. Or maybe it was just that I had my breast forms a little too long when I was in my cross-dressing phase, which went on for about 20 years. But the idea of having my breasts be all me was very appealing to me. Because this is all me. There's no implants. This is fat up here now. So if I put on weight, my boobs are going to get bigger. And now there are some downsides to this, because I know I think just about every cis woman I've talked to about this, something to the effect of, that's kind of the dream. Why haven't I had this yet? There are limits to it. They can only take out the fat that's there, so you can get some good body sculpting, but there are limits to how much they can put everywhere. And if you're skinny, then you're not going to have enough fat to do much with. Fortunately, I gave them plenty to work with. But even so, like the most boob it can give you is about a cup size. And same thing with the hips. There's only so much they can do with the hips. Now, I will say that on the flight home, my new hips almost overflowed the seat. But I think that's more talking about the size of the seats on Alaska Airlines flights than anything else. So let's see. So yeah, I know everyone's like, we just gave you a month off. Why didn't you have more recipes and more stuff to work with? Well, basically, for the first week before surgery, I couldn't drink, and then I couldn't drink much, a couple days after that. But the other thing was had to go down to San Francisco for the surgery. And so I've been out of town for 2 weeks straight because, basically, I went down there a couple days before the surgery for pre-op appointments and that, had the surgery, recovered, had my post-op appointment a week after, and then I went to a game convention because that's good to recover from surgery. I actually had an amazing time, but I started running out of steam real fast. So, yeah, I just got home last Monday. And the other thing was that somehow the version of Paint on my tablet's not the same version of Paint that I have on my desktop, so I couldn't really alter any of the graphics or anything like that, which was really annoying because I had planned on doing at least some of that while I was down there. I did try and find a non-alcoholic drink, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, but it didn't work out. I'm going to have to do some modifications to it to make it actually work. Anyway, so yes, I don't even know where I was going with all that. Oh, basically that I haven't had a ton of time to work on the show lately, which is, but I did want to do something because I didn't want people to, basically be without my glorious presence for too long. But also just, I love doing this. I love being with you. I did have this one drink that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I figured at least we could sit and talk for a bit. And everyone's being real quiet out there. I hope you're still there. But if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, please put them in chat. Oh, wait a minute. That's the problem. It's chat pause due to scroll. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. All right. Let's see. I'm going to backtrack a bit to answer some questions. Ogre says, Kashaka? Or, All right. These are very good drinks and pretty high proof. So, all right. This stuff is made from fresh sugar cane juice as opposed to rum, which is distilled from molasses, the byproduct of sugar production. Yes, that is true. And also this drink was prescribed as a balm for the Spanish flu. Yes, I saw the same article on Wikipedia, and yes, there were. I think I actually mentioned that before you got here. But yeah, this one and another drink, which is on the other page of my notes. Okay. Winter Vesper says, "Oh my God, you're reinforcing my sense that you have to do a lot of research before finding a good doctor." Yes. So as I think I've mentioned before on this channel, on this show even, that basically it's taken me over a year and a half to get this surgery. And this is actually the sixth surgeon that I've tried to get to do this surgery. There's a reason I had to go down to San Francisco to get it. The first place, this is the whole saga. And it should give folks a little idea of how easy it actually is to get gender-affirming surgery. So the first place I tried was where my normal doctor is, my PCP is, who's fantastic. And I went to their plastic surgery clinic, and they said, "Oh yes, we have someone who can do this." Or actually, no, they didn't even say that. They said, "Okay, before you get an appointment, you have to fill out all these forms." And so I did that, and I got the letters from my therapist, and I got the letter from my PCP, and I got, everything filled out, and I got it to them. And then they waited like a week, and they said, "Oh yeah, no, we don't do that surgery." So, okay, you couldn't have told me that earlier. All right. This, by the way, is in January 2022. So I went to another clinic, and they had someone there who could do the surgery. I went in and had a consultation with them. They said I was a fantastic candidate for it. And I said, I did want to kind of lose a little bit of weight just because I'm, not as skinny as I used to be. And she said, well, you want to do that before the surgery because otherwise you're just going to lose all the fat cells we move around. Like, great. And we were like, so, over the summer, you do your exercise and all that, then we'll meet back in August and, and schedule the surgery. Great. Well, I had some questions, so I sent them in, got some responses, had a couple more questions just because I want all my ducks in a row, and found out that surgeon was moving to North Carolina. And I didn't really want to go there for a gender surgery. So, and I apologize if I'm missing questions here. Okay. Anyway, here we go. So that was that. So I asked them if they had any other surgeons there who could do that surgery. They said yes, absolutely. 2 weeks later, I found out that surgeon only does surgery, fat grafting to the face, because fat grafting is often done to the face to basically make you look younger. Basically fill in all the wrinkles. So that wasn't what I wanted. So I went and found another surgeon. Now this one did take insurance, but you had to put down $100 deposit for the clinic or for the appointment because they had apparently a lot of people who didn't show up for their appointments, which seemed weird to me, but whatever. I actually then had an appointment after my facial feminization surgery, which I'll fully admit I had. And my surgeon knew this other surgeon and knew he was not a good person and was doing all sorts of stuff and kind of warned me off. The surgeon that I wanted for my fat grafting had stolen a nurse from my facial feminization surgeon and wouldn't let her out of contracts and was treating her real bad. And 6 months, and I was like, I don't want to support a doctor who does that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, Lori said, forget the $100, just stop, just don't work with them. Okay. 6 months later, that surgeon got indicted for fraud because they were doing things like bribing patients to leave positive reviews and things like that. So that was surgeon 4, I believe. Surgeon 5 was back at the previous clinic because they'd gotten this new person in, but she was on maternity leave. And so I had to wait 5 months for an appointment. And I was like, fine, that's okay. I've seen longer waits for other gender affirming surgeries. And so she, the night before my appointment, after I'd waited 5 months for it, called me up. And I wasn't actually at home, but I got a message saying that she doesn't actually do that surgery on trans people. And I was like, wait, what? So I called back her office, couldn't get anyone. I got a nurse or a secretary who said, yeah, she just doesn't do it on trans people because she doesn't like how the results look. And I was flabbergasted, and I actually went to the appointment the next day to find out if this was actually true, if she was being... Anyway, turns out, yeah, that is the case, and I don't remember much about what happened. I was not happy. And then I was incredibly dysphoric, and it was a big mess on the night before our 20th anniversary. So that was a fun trip. This, by the way, is when I found out how amazing my hairdresser is, as we had appointments that I can't remember, was that same day or the next day, and she, kept me going even though I burst into tears in her as she was washing my hair, and by the end of it, she had texted me the address of a clinic in Mexico that did the surgery on trans people, but it was in, medical tourism, so it would be cheaper if I didn't have insurance, so on and so forth. My hairdresser is amazing. Anyway, so eventually I found this clinic down in San Francisco. This was by now November of last year, got my appointment for a consultation over the phone, having sent in pictures in December. And then it was just a matter of getting insurance to work, and insurance didn't want to work. And I was taking care of my dad at this time, and things just kept sliding until it was August this year. And it looked like we were going to be switching insurances in September. And and fortunately we haven't yet, but we're basically on the verge of it. But I was like, we're going to switch insurances, and all the work we've done up until now is going to be for nothing. So we need to get this surgery done by the end of the month, with post-op and everything. Through some heroic efforts from Lori and a couple of people at that clinic, we made it happen. And I got my surgery on exactly the last date I could have to get the post-op done before the end of the month. Turns out we're not switching insurances, but that was apparently what needed to happen to make it happen. And so, yes, that was the saga of how we got me to get this surgery. I am presuming it would be easier for other folks if you can actually find the surgeon who does it. Like I say, there are a few others. There were a couple down in Portland who had an 18-month waiting list just to get a consultation. There was one way out in the boonies in Oregon who I ended up not calling because I knew more folks down in the Bay Area, and I figured if I was traveling that far, I might as well be somewhere where I had friends that I could see. Let's see. Winter Vesper says, I'm so relieved you're looking safe and healthy. Ska is here. Hi, Ska. She laughed at airplane seats earlier. And our anonymous benefactor gave Ska a tier 1 sub. Thank you very much, anonymous benefactor. You keep this show running as janky as it is. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Ska also says, oh my God, so much gatekeeping. Yeah, there was a lot. Morning went oof. And Winter Vesper says, when interviewing a surgeon, I freely admit I have neglected to ask, have you been indicted recently? Yeah, that's a new one for me too. I'm really glad my other surgeon told me about that and kept me from going any further. Although a good friend of mine actually did also make an appointment there because it turned out he was actually the surgeon at several clinics and didn't have his name prominently displayed anywhere. So it wasn't until after he had made the appointment, it was like, or rather she made that appointment and saw his name and said, was like, that sounds familiar, and looked into it. Fortunately, when she said she was canceling the appointment because of the fact that he was indicted, they did refund her money. So, but yeah, I was like, I thought I warned you about that guy. She's like, no, they didn't have his name anywhere. So yeah, it's a whole thing. So, let's see. There was another one I missed here. Ogre Marco says, is my doctor under indictment.com? Yeah, that we may have to start that. Let's see. Oh, also Winter Vesper said, I'm so relieved to see you looking safe and healthy. Thank you very much. That was a while back, but yes, I'm still sort of randomly running out of energy, especially if I overdo it. Like I overdid it at the game convention, and I got home Monday night and Tuesday, I was not up for doing anything. I just kind of laid around. Today I've also been taking it real easy, but that running out of energy is something that I kind of factored into this because I didn't want to be like halfway through baking a pan of brownies and just fall over. Not literally fall over, but be like, I can't do any more. Let's see. And by the way, on Ogre Marco, who says, that the is my doctor under indictment.com. Doesn't exist, but it should. Trans folks do talk. So yes, we spread around information about that. I had some problems at the clinic that I'm at, not real bad ones, but basically the office workers had communication problems, and there are about 3 other trans ladies I know who were thinking about going there or did go there and all that. And, we talked quite a bit about it. So there is a network of trans folks. If you don't know, if you're looking for a doctor and, don't know if they are trans affirming or not, or, or especially if you're looking for surgery, or gender affirming surgery, talk to your local trans folks, and hopefully they will be able to get you some information. Winter Vesper says, I wouldn't have thought there was a need for that website, but here you are. Yeah, fortunately, this is the only doctor like that I've run up against. There was one surgeon, or not surgeon, primary care physician who was trying to set up a trans-only practice, who admitted to me that they had no endocrinology experience and things like that. And I was like, no, you're not going to be my doctor. But I do know another trans woman there who, after I had a big blow up with that doctor about her lack of skills, is still with her, still likes her. Apparently she got a lot better after that. So, Ogre Mark also tells me to please continue to take it easy. I'm definitely doing that. This is the last big thing I have planned for this week. I'm I say that looking out at the apple tree and the bushels of apples that are on the lawn that I should really turn into apple juice, but the bottles for that don't get here till Friday, so I've got a couple more days to rest. Okay. So that was my surgery saga. If you have any questions about it, anything I can elucidate, I think I was probably told you way more than you ever want to know about it. But again, I'm just trying to put information out there. But if you have any other questions or comments or concerns or whatever, drop them in the chat, or drop them in comments if you're on YouTube. And by the way, hi to all of our friends out in YouTube. Really appreciate all of you as well. Again, if you have any questions about anything, surgery, drinks, any of the previous episodes or anything we're about to talk about, please let me know. All right. So that's the history section. Going forward, what is season 2 of this show going to look like? Because, and I'm being arbitrary in saying this is season 2. It's just to make my bookkeeping easy. Well, not bookie, my notes easier. Morning Wind says, Ogre Marco says, like and subscribe. Yes, please, like and subscribe. Morning Wind says, it's just good to see you. Thank you very much. It's good to see all of you as well. I really do enjoy these shows, and that was another reason I wanted to do this, even though it wasn't going to be a full episode, is I wanted to be able to see all of you again. All right. So obviously I'm going to continue doing Drinking with Dana. I'm going to continue doing Dana Reviews things. I'm going to continue doing the new show, which is called Girl Problems. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So for those of you who haven't seen it, I just put out one episode of a show, which is 7 minutes long or something like that, called Girl Problems. And I apologize for the name, because it really should have been something more Femme Problems or something like that. I put this video together in 5 minutes, and that was the best name I could think of. And the idea for it actually goes back to something I posted on Twitter back in the before times, before it was really awful. And I said that basically someone should write a book called, and again, this title is wrong, but it should be called like How to Dress in Women's Clothes. And the idea was that it's all the stuff that girls learn growing up that everyone assumes so they don't bother to teach it to you if you're trans femme or if you're, butch and only wear a skirt like once every 5 years. And as soon as I mentioned that, every cis and trans woman in my feed was like, yes, I need to know about this. And this is a thing that I should, that we should tell people, and that this other thing. And I wish I need to go back and find that thread before I close my account there. Which I'm probably not going to do because I still advertise over there. And again, this is not meant to exclude any femme presenting NBs or anyone else who likes to wear a skirt now again. Gender nonconforming men, you're welcome to. But anyway, so that's kind of the genesis of the idea. But I was talking on Discord with someone about braiding hair. And they were saying, like, yeah, I'd seen some YouTube videos and it didn't really make a lot of sense because they just kind of went through it too fast. And, so I'll wait a while and try again. And I braid my hair every night because it's so long. I have to have it braided, or I lay on top of it and then pull my hair. Or, when I roll over, I'll roll over onto it and jerk it and wake myself up. So, basically I just this is how I braid my hair into pigtails every night before bed. It's a good way to start and blah, blah, blah. And I figured, as long as I'm recording this for them, I'll just put it up on my YouTube site because maybe it'll help someone else. And that I remembered that idea. I was like, maybe I can make a series out of these. I'm not going to do it on any schedule. It's literally as ideas occur to me, and I have time to film them. One of the ones I have an idea for that I might do when I'm feeling better is, how to get into bed wearing a nightgown and not have it end up around your neck. That kind of thing. Or your armpits, really. Let's see. Oh, there's some comments here. Let's see. Winter Vespers says, girl problems. How to zip yourself in the back while wearing a faja if you are a gold medal gymnast. Yes. Trust me. So one of the, I should have mentioned this earlier, one of the surgery didn't really hurt that bad. That first day I took the heavy painkillers, but it was more to be polite because they'd been prescribed. And after that I was just taking Tylenol. And the surgeon described the pain as, like you had a really heavy workout the day before, or you worked out too hard the day before. And that is accurate. But what she left out is the fact that you feel like you worked out too hard the day before for, 2 weeks and counting. So, and with the faja restricting your movement, getting out of bed's a little tricky and that kind of thing. But zipping yourself up in the back when you're not as flexible as perhaps you should be, there is a trick for that. And I'm going to add that to my list. Let's see. Scott says, I wish I had the patience for braiding my hair. It's always so pretty afterwards when you release the braid. Yes, it really is. So polite. Okay. Anyway, yes, your hair does get a lot curlier in nice waves and such when you braid your hair and sleep in it, especially if it's wet when you put it in. Although I have problems that my hair traps all that water in, so I'll go to bed with, or I'll get my hair wet, braid it, and then go to bed, and I'll wake up, release the braid, and it'll still be wet, and probably not smelling as great. Let's see. Scott's comment about, so polite was about me saying that I took the pain meds just to be polite. Okay. Sorry. This is a very good drink. And clearly I need more of it. Anyway, so yes, girl problems. someone can think of a better name for it that is more inclusive, because, like I say, it's not meant to exclude anyone. It's meant to be inclusive. But it was the name I came up with in like 5 minutes. So, uh, anyway, and also, suggestions for episodes for that, things you've always wanted to know that I could look into and figure out, or just how I deal with the problem. Put it in the comments. Let me know here in chat. Send me a message, however you want to do it. When a Resper says, I generally let my hair let my hair dry in loose pigtails before braiding. I let mine dry all the way and then just grab big wads of it and do what I do in the video. When I'm doing it for bed, it's not meant to look that great. Although oftentimes it looks better in the morning when it kind of loosens up a little bit. So, all right. So, getting back to my plans for all the shows, I'm planning, I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm planning on incorporating more non-alcoholic cocktails for Drinking with Dana, because a lot of folks in this audience right now don't actually drink. And I don't want to exclude you. I want you to feel part of what we're doing here. And I know I do the food. That's great. And I know, you might just be here for company. That's fine too. But I want fun things that you can try as well. And not drinking, by the way, is perfectly valid. I obviously do. But I am well aware that there are people who have darn good reasons for not. And even if that darn good reason is just, I don't like to, that's perfectly valid. Don't let anyone pressure you into it. But I want to have, recipes for them too. So, I did one or two, in the last season. And the problem I've been running up against with that is, there are a couple things I've been running up against with that. The first is I have my own definition for what a non-alcoholic cocktail is. And it should be, and I think I've talked about this a little bit, but it should be a drink that has multiple parts to it. You're not pouring a syrup in and then pouring carbonated water on it to make a soda. That's not a cocktail. I guess it would be like a highball, if anything, but still, it doesn't count. It's not really, interesting. Likewise, I don't want to, just make something that's, got, non-alcoholic rum or non-alcoholic whiskey in it. Because from what I've heard, most of those are pretty awful. But even if you had a good one, that's not something that's a non-alcoholic. First of all, you'd have to go out and buy it, and no one's going to want to stock up a non-alcoholic liquor cabinet. Just, it doesn't sound like a good idea. Instead, and the last thing I don't want it to be is just a alcoholic drink where you just leave out the alcohol. There are a lot of recipes. There's one for a non-alcoholic painkiller, for example, where basically just you leave out the rum and substitute some tonic water for it. That's because there's a substitution, maybe, but if it was just leave out the rum, mix all the fruit juice and coconut, I've lost the name. I've been gone too long. Basically, add the coconut and the pineapple juice and the orange juice and shake them together. That's still a drink, but it's, that's just saying make a painkiller and leave out the rum. So with the Neruda that I did last time, it was, different syrups, different juices, things mixed together, and then you add, you shook it and you added carbonated water to it, and then that feels like a cocktail to me. That is a cocktail that just doesn't happen to have alcohol in it. Let's see. Ogre says solidly yucky is what they are, and I'm not sure what that was referring to. And Scott asks, non-alcoholic rum is a thing? Yes. So I'm not sure when it started, but basically people realized there's a whole market for non-alcoholic cocktails. And so places started to figure out how to make non-alcoholic spirits. So yeah, there's non-alcoholic rum, non-alcoholic whiskey, etc. And I don't know if they basically make whiskey and then remove the alcohol from it, or if they try and make something that tastes like rum that just doesn't have alcohol in it. I hear one of the big problems with them is getting the consistency right and the texture right, if you see what I'm saying there. But also just they don't often taste that great. And Lori was actually mentioning earlier that it would be good to have an entire episode just of substitutions. So, like for egg whites, you can substitute aquafaba, which is literally the liquid that they have in in a can of chickpeas. And I actually saved some out, but it was from the 4th of July party, and I should probably toss it at this point. I never actually used it. Oh yeah, solidly. When Ogre was talking about solidly yucky, he was talking about non-alcoholic liqueurs. And there are, and Wintervester says, "Wow, I'd never heard of non-alcoholic liquor before tonight." Yeah, it's not as well advertised oddly enough, outside of cocktail circles as you'd imagine. Like Imbibe has a couple of ads in there, or some of the other magazines, that kind of thing. But they're not really that common or that prominently displayed. But there are people doing it. There are some non-alc. I think, and again, Greg from How to Drink, of course, beat me to it. But he did an episode on making non-alcoholic cocktails. But he tried a bunch of the non-alcoholic spirits, and what he found was the non-alcoholic spirits that didn't try to be actual spirits were the ones that were the most successful. Like there was basically I can't remember what they called them, but they were effectively non-alcoholic amaros. Basically, amaros are just various kinds of liqueurs that have a common feature, but they're all very different. So like an Amaro Angostura is very different than a Amaro like Brasilia or something. Anyway, they're all very different flavors to them. I can't remember what the commonality is. I don't actually own any, just because each cocktail requires a different one because they're all so different. So basically, the non-alcoholic spirits that were most successful were ones that could taste like their own thing. So yeah, they might be worth looking into for yourselves. It's not something I'm going to go for. I found a few cocktails that I'm looking into, or non-alcoholic cocktails I'm looking into here. The thing I'm running into is actually very cocktail culture, which is that I've got like 4 that I want to try, and each one requires me to make a different simple syrup for it. Like the one I was trying out was a fennel and basil syrup for it, and I hate that with cocktails, but I'm doing it for the non-alcoholic cocktails because there's no way around it, quite frankly. Especially with all the other requirements I put on them. There's just not that many good recipes that don't ask you to do that. And the phone's ringing, and hopefully Lori will get that. Anyway, so yeah, the reason I didn't end up doing that drink on tonight's show is because basically the syrup didn't turn out. I think I may have done a little bit off, but it just didn't have any basil flavor or any fennel flavor in it. So I think I'm going to redo that with more of both of those, some fennel seed instead of fennel stalk, that kind of stuff. So anyway, but yes, that's one thing I do want to start incorporating more into the shows. Like I say, I started a little bit last season, but I'm going to try and do more going forward. But the other thing is that because before I even started the show, I was pretty burnt out. And I kind of committed to doing this in a brief period where I had some downtime, and then things got crazy again. And I shouldn't use that word. Things got very, very busy again. Still good. Still no sugar at the bottom. So, hey. And things got very, very busy at the beginning of the year. That's why I've missed some episodes. Then I had all this surgery stuff. Right now, things look like they're lightening up a bit. But I saw a post over on Blue Sky that said, being an adult is just saying, things will be easier next week, over and over until you die. And, it's not wrong. So I'm committing to be kinder to myself, and if it feels like I can't do a full, reasonable episode, I'm going to let myself off the hook, and we might have some more of these single drink or single food or whatever episodes, or I may actually skip weeks. If I do, I will try and let folks know as far in advance as I can, or put up, there'll be a video up on YouTube. That's where I've been kind of putting the sort of random notifications, random, if something's different this week notes, or we lost this, or I can't do it this week, just because everyone's on a different social media, if they're on social media at all these days. So that seems like a centralized place to put it. Let's see. Morning Wind says that, Scoffer said, yeah, next week. I should have checked that in. I posted it. Yeah, next week I'm going to take off. Oh, that was a comment about next week being easier. Always next week being easier. Yes, I'm sorry. This is, again, not really fully recovered yet. Morning Wind says, very glad you're doing this. And Winter Vesper says, thank you so much for all you do. Honestly, I appreciate all of you being out there, coming to the shows, watching on YouTube, wherever you are, however you see this. I really do appreciate it. It has been an amazing experience. As frustrating as it's been at times, I've really enjoyed it and been really happy with it. I'm gonna keep going, but like I say, I'm gonna try and be a little kinder to myself about letting things go and taking it easy. Scott says, gentle hugs and hugs. Thank you. Yes, gentle hugs from the recovery. But thank you all. Oh, and well wishes and hugs to you and Lori. Thank you very much. Yeah, Lori has been amazing through all of this. She has been my biggest supporter, and just fantastic through all of it. So, yes, very much thanks to her for everything she's done, everything she'll continue to do. She wasn't up to being on camera at night, and I figured I was going to stand here and blather anyway. So, and actually, I'm going to finish the rest of this, and I'm still talking. I've got a couple last things to say, so maybe we'll take a second and make that Caipifruta and see how it turns out. All right. So the other thing is, again, being just perfectly opaque about trans life, I do have one or two more surgeries that I'm thinking about. And I apologize for having to wash out the shaker here while I'm talking, because the other one is in the dishwasher and was a lot harder to clean out than this one was. So hopefully I get all of the lime pulp out of here. And there'll be a little bit of water in here, but that's probably for the best at this point. So one thing about the surgery I got is it can be, if you want, an iterative process. And what I mean by that is, like I say, it only adds a cup size at a time, and if it turns out I want another cup size, which I kind of do, I can get the surgery again, provided I have fat for them to take from. Well, like I say, I'll see how things are in 6 months and what our insurance is looking like, and if we can afford it or not. And if it seems like a good idea, I may do it. There's another big surgery, the big one, which I'm on a waiting list to get on the waiting list to get a consultation for. So that's going to be next year at the soonest, probably late next year, but it is something I'm thinking about. It will impact the show, but not for a long time. All right. So Ska missed it. The first drink was the Caipirinha. And yes, here, let me I'll put the recipe back up because it has been a while. So the Caipifruta is basically the same thing, except instead of lime, you substitute in other fruit. And just because I was too lazy to go to the store, I just looked around to see what we had. And what we had was there were some strawberries growing out in the garden, and it's blackberry season up here, so I picked some blackberries down at the park, and I found some leftover Bing cherries that were in the fridge, and some around there were starting to go a little bit bad, so I grabbed the good ones, and I think we'll call that good. It sounds like a good mix of fruit to me. I thought briefly about going over and getting some huckleberries to go in it, have it really be a Northwest one, but I didn't feel up to it. I thought I should probably save my strength. So I'm just going to dump all this fruit in there. And I'm thinking, because I'm not using wine here, I am going to cut back on the sugar here. And it may end up being a mistake, but let's see. I think I'm going to do 2 teaspoons instead of 4 and see how that turns out. It's probably going to be oversweet, but we'll find out. So basically there were 4 cherries, 4 pretty good sized strawberries. Well, good size for my garden, which is about like that. And a small handful of blackberries that were pretty darn ripe. All right, and rinse this off. And in case you're wondering if it's a bad idea for me to have 2 relatively strong drinks in an evening, maybe. My surgeon didn't seem to care. She said, as long as you're off the good drugs, you should be fine. Honestly, there was more worry about me going swimming too soon after the surgery, especially at a hotel pool. All right, so I'm mushing this up real good. All right, I will get a clean glass. And, let's see. And I was going to double strain this, but I double strained that soda the other night. So I did rinse this off before I put it in the dishwasher, just to make sure. Not too bad, but... Alright. Let's see, go. Put that there. Alright. So this is all mushed up. Don't know if you can actually see this on the camera. Yeah, it's pretty dark there, but yeah, it's just kind of a sludge at the bottom right now. And add, again, 2 ounces of this. There we go. I do not like the flow regulator on that. But other than that, I'm really enjoying that liquor. Let's see, what else would I like to talk about? Okay. Let me get some ice in here, and then I'll get back to chatting. All right. Oh, and I want some ice in there. Now, it's probably not going to be as much of this one just because it doesn't have all that lime juice in there. But we'll see what happens. It's an experiment. Sometimes you just need to play around with this stuff. Okay. Well, it looks fantastic if I can get it out of here. Oof. Well, I'm making a colossal mess is what's happening here. If you can't see that. And now I'm seeing why they used fruit like pineapple and kiwi and other things that have a lot of juice and keep their pulp pretty much together. But let me see if I can get any more of that out of there and at least give it a try. All right, so one of the other things while I'm messing with this that I wanted to talk about is that I am still planning on doing a Christmas stream for charity this year, like I did last year, because I did... Well, let's put it this way. I have to make Christmas cookies anyway, and someone should benefit from that who isn't getting cookies. But also, just it was fun, if exhausting, and it was for a good cause. It'll be for a different cause this year, and I'll have to see what's going on at the time. Now, one of the reasons why, well, basically, I haven't planned that far ahead at this point, which is why I'm not giving you more details. I will closer to the time. But the other thing is I do, as I mentioned on the show before, I do a lot of streaming with All on the Table. And they are also planning on doing some charity streams coming up and that sort of thing. And there was some talk that I might do, like, if they do a charity raid train or something, that I would do a little bit like, and here's a cocktail to go with the next segment kind of things. But we will see, again, closer to that time. And I'll announce everything here and on all the usual social media, etc., etc. All right. So, by the way, this is the part that Greg edits out on How to Drink. Also, Mike Mike on Mike from HGTV would show this because he would be having a gay panic while he did it, but that's the difference between the gay man and a lesbian, I guess? I don't know. I need to get more gay stereotype humor going here, I guess. I don't know. No, I'll leave that to him. I will just continue to make cocktails, usually, and make different jokes and stuff. And just be quietly fabulous. All right. So, let me clean this up before it stains everything around it. I don't know if this is anything or not, but looks fantastic. Looks very, very Halloween. So let's see. Ogre Marco says, I get cookies. Totally awesome cookies, even. Oh, and Mickey says, how would I fit a U-Haul into my shot? There are other lesbian stereotypes. I can figure anyway. Have to clip my fingernail shorter or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's give this a try before I talk myself out of being monetized or something. It's good, but oddly enough, you don't really get the fruit out of it. There's plenty of fruit juice in there, I know that, but I'm actually going to add some lime to this. See if that'll save it. Big squeeze of lime juice, because it was really lacking that acidity. Much better. Get more, especially the cherry out of it, but also some strawberry and blackberry. The blackberry's kind of hidden, not gonna lie. But it is, yeah, nice. I mean, I probably could have just used tart cherry juice in there, but I think it's quite nice. I think the original is better. I think this is one of the ones that, like, everyone has their own sangria recipe. I think this is one you play around until you find the fruit that you like mixed in it. And I think tropical fruit is probably the way to go. This does feel like it needs to have that acidity, and that it's a liquor that would pair better with that, I think. All right, so that put aside for right now. Also, this was just a giant mess because the pulp got everywhere. All right, so that being said, yes, so I'm planning on still doing that charity stream around Christmas. Ochre says that he wants this with pineapple. I highly would recommend that. I think that would be fantastic. And I just don't have a pineapple around. Otherwise, I'd give it a try. I was talking about All on the Table. That's the organization I do role-playing game streaming with. I'm currently in the superhero game over there, which is Vigilantes Union number 13. The first, to use the Marvel terminology, the first phase is already up online, which is all the solo adventures of all the different heroes. The next phase, we're going to start doing team-ups. We've actually started filming a couple of those, and they're going to be real fun. And then there's a show on there called Side Quests, which is actually a show I started over there, but have become way less involved with. But I'm filming an episode where I run a game called Quest, which is a fantastic role-playing game. Basically, it's... people say it's the best game to introduce a new player to role-playing games with. But also, I think it's going to be really good for streaming in general. But it's something I really want to run and show people, because I think it got kind of lost in the shuffle when a bunch of new games came out. The art for the book is fantastic. It's very welcoming, and it's got some really clever ideas in terms of character classes. It's yeah, I recommend checking it out. You can actually download a copy of the PDF version of the game for free. If you go to just do a web search for Quest RPG, and it will get you there. It's like adventuregame.com or something. But anyway, and there you can download the PDF for free. But I'm going to be running that at the end of the month, and I hope to see you all there. And I think that's everything I've got in my notes. Did anyone have any questions or comments, concerns, anything else? Because otherwise, I should probably go order some dinner. That was going to be the food for tonight. This is how you order pizza. Because every time I go to a game convention, everyone's like, "Oh, what pizzas should we get?" And I'm like, "Meat lovers." And like, two people are like, "Yes, you and I, we will get meat lovers." And everyone else is like, "Oh, I'll eat whatever people order." And so we get all sorts of other stuff. And the first thing to disappear every single time is a meat lover. So the last 4 conventions that we've ordered pizza at, I've only ever gotten one slice. So, despite being one of the people who originally wanted to order. So I'm ordering pizza tonight. Scott suggests a new show, which is Order It with Dana. That would be a fun show. That would have to be more of a talk show format. I'll have guests come in and we go through the well, where do you want to order from process, and that would actually be good for it. Because you have a built-in set of questions. Well, what are you thinking about ordering? Do you want to do this family style, or do you want to each get our own thing? That will be a future show. That's for season 3, I think. We'll do Ordering It with Dana. All right. Winter Vesper says, "Thank you for a lovely evening." Morning Wind does a fantastic emoji that I would be scared to describe. And Ogre says, "For some reason, it's the cheese pizza that disappears first around here." And Morning Wind says, "Enjoy your dinner." I think she's trying to get rid of me, but probably right that I should let everyone get back to their evenings, and I will go order food. And I will see you all in a couple of weeks, hopefully with a full show and not just me blathering for, gosh, how long has it been? Like an hour. Okay. Night, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you soon.